Okay. Um, Welcome to Vertalo's webinar series today. I'm Dave Hendricks. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Vertalo. We are a digital transfer agent that transforms and tokenizes and fractionalizes illiquid private assets. We also help funding portals and broker dealers and custodians onboard their investors and manage digital and tokenized asset offerings. Today, I am super excited. I've got Will Wiseman and I've got Dr. Larry Chan, along with my colleague, Cole Pelham. And we're going to talk about Climatize.earth and RTH Solar today. This should be a really great conversation. I think you're going to learn a lot about Climatize. You're going to learn a lot about RTH, and also hopefully you will leave with an appreciation for and an understanding of how different parties work together in the digital asset ecosystem to make it easier to invest in private offerings, specifically the outstanding offerings from Climatize. We've got Will Wiseman here. Will is Forbes 30 under 30. He's built Climatize.earth with his partners. Now he's starting to bring on exciting issuer partners like Larry Chan and RTH Solar. So tell us, Will, like, how did you get Climatize started? What was your mission? What were your challenges? Like, how did we get to here talking to you today?
Well, first of all, thank you, David, for the opportunity to share with your audience and everyone here. So Climatize was really inspired by joining the global climate strikes back in 2019 in Barcelona, where it was one of hundreds of cities that participated in this global event. And in Barcelona, there was 100,000 people who turned out for this climate strike. And myself and my co-founder, she and I were really blown away by this kind of groundswell of hope and motivation. And yet it hit us with this kind of sad realization that we would all go home and the next day, nothing was going to be different.
Yeah.
And we felt that it was this glaring problem that if you can get 100,000 people together and their best option was to make a cardboard sign, there has to be a better solution. And so we set out from there to actually create a way where, every day people can actually play a meaningful role in the energy transition by investing in the assets that actually help us decarbonize the macro economy. And so that was what kind of inspired Climatize. And since then, we have gone through all of the regulatory work, received FINRA membership, registered with the SEC as a funding portal, and have been able to partner with Vertalo to, power our cap table management so that we can have, hundreds of people participating and investing in renewable energy projects.
Oh, that's super cool. That's the best, right? When you get that catharsis, like you say, wow, look at this. There's a very, very concrete problem here. Okay, a couple of them, like, people care about this, but their only way that they can participate is emotionally, right? And in fact, as you see all the time, people vote with their pocketbooks, okay? Buy and boycotts and investing in things they like and all those sorts of things. So why don't you give them a really super direct voice through their pocketbook? And people don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars necessarily to throw at things, but you enable them to invest at much lower dollar amounts than like a typical VC or private equity investor. Is that true?
Yeah, with as little as $5. And we really wanted to take that approach so that investing in the energy transition is accessible to everybody. And to us, it's very important that, we see this as helping reframe the narrative of climate change from one of sacrifice, needing to fly less, needing to eat less meat, which are all important levers in terms of how we reduce our carbon footprint, but to reframe climate change to one of opportunity, because this is an enormous economic opportunity to, re-architect the entire energy system. And through that, there is a huge yield that, will otherwise just be owned by the incumbents. And so we
Right.
think there's a very important role to empower the everyday person to be an investor in the energy transition so that they're an active stakeholder, not just a neutral bystander.
That's great. And so, what a better way to do it than to do it technologically
Mhm,
and to reduce the friction
mhm,
for those folks to get involved. So they don't have to
mhm,
go out and march. They can actually put their money where their feet are.
mhm.
That's great. So tell us about your partnership with Larry and RTH Solar.
Mhm. Yeah, so RTH Solar is the first community solar project that was funded on the Climatize platform. They came and launched in early May, and they had a really successful first raise, getting over $500,000 in a month.
Wow.
Larry, do you want to talk a little bit about the experience?
Oh, it was fantastic. By the way, thank you very much for having me on this platform, Dave, for the invitation.
My
Uh,
pleasure.
the the experience was fantastic. I mean, we've always had a wish to be able to figure out how we could let our solar panels and our solar projects be available for the public. It's been very challenging to get any financing, going to the banks and such. It's been very challenging just to get any of these companies to help us refinance and be able to continue to sponsor our projects. So going to Climatize has been great because now we have a platform that we can send our projects to. First of all, they're completely de-risked at this point, meaning that they're producing energy and they're working. And so now we can provide projects, but at the same time be able to refinance our projects. And then now we could take that same money and develop more projects. So we're very excited about this whole opportunity.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, we're super excited to work with both of you. Let me introduce my colleague, Cole Pelham. So Cole, who's been in our client success team, is manager in that business function here at Vertalo, has been here for a couple of years, and he was really excited about your project, Will, and working with you, Larry. So Cole, give us a kind of a breakdown for like the timeline and what it took to get Climatize set up, and then how you worked with Climatize and RTH Solar to facilitate this low friction, easier access to capital.
Yeah, so hi everyone. Thanks for having me on. So it's been a lot of fun working with Will and Larry on this one. Um, I remember, I think it was in March, whenever we kind of got to go live to start building out the implementation with Climatize, and we were able to figure out a way to best meet everyone's needs and get them up and running within a month, which was really exciting because then Larry's offer came on here and they were able to complete their raise in less than a month, just shy of a month, which was really fun to see. In fact, I think it took us longer to schedule this webinar than it did for him to raise the money,
Wow,
if I'm being honest, which is
that's
kind of
pretty
fun.
good.
The process is, it's pretty typical. You gather all the right documents, you talk about the best way to satisfy the client's needs from a compliance standpoint, align on those, get all of that in place. Bunch of random jargon that I don't want to get into, but once you got that figured out, it's pretty easy to get everything up and running. And the cool thing about this is we're going to continue to work on the integration that we have with Climatize through the APIs, so it's even more seamless in the future. So it's less time to value. I mean, they're just going to go straight to being on the platform within moments instead of a little bit of data validation, which will be really exciting for the future launches as well.
Mhm.
So Will, you're using Vertalo's APIs to make it easier to set up other issuances, more stuff for Larry and for your other clients.
So with this first issuance, we did this in a more manual way to really understand how do we streamline this process and really understand, what is the value of that API? And now moving forward, all of the issuances are going to be via API. And that will be really great for us because especially as we're looking at managing these larger cap tables, aiming to get hundreds of people investing in these renewable energy projects, managing a cap table of that size across many projects can add a layer of complexity that's very challenging for a portal like ours that really wants to focus on getting capital, gaining investors and getting that to project developers like Larry. And so by working with Vertalo and having you all in your specialty and helping us, manage and organize that cap table, allow us to stay compliant and work within the regulation crowdfunding framework so that we know we're covered and can lean on experts like yourselves, adds a lot of value to Climatize.
That's great. Thank you so much for working with us.
Mhm.
So in your work with Cole, you're abstracting Vertalo almost out of the picture, right? Does anyone even in the future, will anyone even know that that this is on Vertalo? It's going to be 100% Climatize and issuer experience. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I mean, working with Cole, setting up a way that we can even brand our portal so that as Larry goes in and works with his cap table, he sees a Climatize experience, which is really great for us to be able to show that kind of full wrap brand experience when they, issuers want to go in and see their cap table and manage their investors. And, Vertalo is so great because in the event that something happens to our investors, either, they need to pass that security to next of kin or want to get liquidity on it, all of that is ultimately managed by Vertalo and enables Climatize to really focus on what we love doing, and same for Larry.
That's super cool. Now, because you're doing this under CF, you're in the case of RTH Solar, there's also Reg A's, which are slightly different, and series LLCs, and there's lots of different structures. And Vertalo is structure agnostic, right? We don't Reg D, Reg S, any Reg A plus, GPLP. We don't really care, but my assumption is that eventually you want to make some of these things liquid and tradable. And what are your thoughts about that? And like tell us a little bit about the future of Climatize over the next year or two and what your goals are.
Yeah, so obviously we want to, be able to bring secondary liquidity to our investors because, with a renewable energy project, traditionally it has been a very illiquid asset unless you refinance the whole thing, which Larry alluded to, that, particularly with projects at the scale of this RTH project, $500,000, it's very hard to get a financial institution to come in and refinance that. So, by being able to bring in investors to participate directly on those projects, it adds a lot of value to the developers. And so we're really looking forward to scaling the number of projects that we have on the platform and bringing in new investors. And our 5-year goal is pretty audacious. We're looking to put $1 billion to work per year into clean energy projects. So we still have a long ways to go, but look forward to, having Vertalo enable us to, manage that many investors and keep good track of all of the capital flowing to these renewable energy projects because we need it now more than ever.
Well, this has been really great. I'm super excited about what we're going to do together. I'm looking forward to doing a follow-up to this where we can walk through the Climatize investment process and what you can expect as both an investor, but also an issuer partner like Larry, because we've got an interesting, just so everyone who's watching this understands, there are 3 parties here working together. We've got a funding portal, and that's Climatize. We've got an issuer, and that's RTH Solar, and then you've got Vertalo, who is a service provider and technology platform that's underpinning the offerings, both by individual issuers and also facilitating your business so you can focus on what you do best, Will, which looks like attracting great projects is one of the things that you do really well. And so excited to see more. So do you have any parting words, Will or Larry, that you want to share with our audience about what you're doing and how to reach you? And then for those who are watching, there are some links right after this so you can go learn more about the various people and projects here.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll say a quick word here and hand it off to Larry. If you're interested in alternative investments and seeking ways to diversify your portfolio and looking for ways to align your values with where you invest, I encourage you to take a look at Climatize. You can find us in the App Store or at www.climatize.earth. And from there, you can come in and browse our offerings. And if there are things that are of your interest, I encourage you to either, reach out to us, express what you're interested in, consider making an investment, and consider looking at how you can align your finances with impact through investing in renewable energy projects. Larry?
Yeah, I want to just thank you guys for this opportunity to have this talk, but please, again, look at Climatize and look at their projects. We're very excited to be able to bring more projects onto their platform. There's a lot more things out there and a lot more work that we need to do.
Well, thank you all. For those watching, thanks for taking the time to meet Climatize and RTH Solar and learn more about the work that Vertalo is doing with these fantastic entrepreneurs and pioneers. And stay tuned for more exciting news about Climatize, RTH Solar, and Vertalo. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dave.